Yo, check it. This is Duelist of Awesome coming at you this time with the Salamangreat deck profile for 2025. It's February 1st. That's the date. Let's get into it. Alright, starting it off the way every person who plays Salamangreat starts a deck profile off. We are starting with 3 Salamangreat Gazelle. Okay, so Gazelle is your best normal summon. When it is summoned, it can pitch a card, a monster, from the deck to the graveyard, and if a monster is summoned, typically a link monster with this deck, you can special summon it and then trigger its effect to pitch to the graveyard. So it's a combo extender and your best normal summon. Who you're going to be sending off Gazelle would be Salamangreat Spinny, your other 3 up in the deck. This card goes to the graveyard. It can send itself to the graveyard by an effect from the hand or be sent there by Gazelle. Once it's in the graveyard, it can special summon itself for free, but it's banished when it leaves the field unless it's used as an Xyz material for Mirage Stalio. Then it gets sent back to the graveyard. So that's a good way to recur that. Next up is 2 Salamangreat of Fire. This is a great new card for the deck. And I'm going to let you know now that I would be playing 3. I just don't have a 3rd copy. So for right now, I'm playing 2 Foxy. I would take Foxy down to 1 and Salamangreat of Fire up to 3. These cards are all really good, really standard for the deck. Foxy is really good because if it's summoned, you can activate the top 3 cards from your deck, show them, and then you choose a Salamangreat card and add it to your hand. It's kind of like an archetype pot of duality. It's really good. Next up, for your one-ups of the deck, you're going to play Salamangreat Jaguar. He's 4 extensions. You can also send him off of Gazelle, and has similarly the same effect. Salamangreat Fowl. He's a special summon from the hand if a Salamangreat monster is summoned, so he's an extension. And this one is for recurrence. Salamangreat Falco, used to add a Salamangreat spell or trap from your deck, from your graveyard, back to your hand. Next up for the new cards, Salamangreat Tiger. We'll place them on top. Salamangreat Tiger is really good because you can discard one other Salamangreat card, which means you can send a card from your hand to the graveyard and special summon this card. So you can send Spinny or any of these cards, really, and special summon it. And Salamangreat Weasel. Salamangreat Weasel can also be special summoned if you have 2 or more Salamangreat monsters in your graveyard. So more monsters means more link material, which means bigger monsters. Salamangreat is great at getting monsters onto the field and keeping a control state. In the OG days of Salamangreat players, the argument was between Lady Debug or Flame Buffalo, but seeing as the deck can search its monsters easily, Flame Buffalo was always the way to go. So I play 2 Flame Buffalo. When it is sent to the graveyard, or leaves the field rather, you get to draw 2 cards. You can add 1 Cybers monster. You can discard 1 Cybers monster, which means you can send your Spinny, which is why it's really good, or your Jaguar, then draw 2 cards. You can only use that effect once per turn, but this is also a great normal summon if you didn't draw your Gazelle and you need a little more, a couple more cards to get it going. Flame Buffalo's your man. Next up is the Link supporting Firewall package. I play this in other Link Center decks too, like MathMech. That is 3 Firewall Defensor. When this card is used for the Link summon of a Link monster, which would be your Balinks, it will special summon a Firewall Guardian, which is extra recurrent for more Link material. If you Link summon, you can use the effect of Parallel Xyz, special summon it, and then special summon the other one from the deck at the cost of making both their levels level 4. I play this package to aid in the summoning of Link monsters and to get more Link materials on the field. This deck plays almost exclusively Link monsters, minus a couple cards in the extra deck for this deck build entirely, or specifically rather, but these cards right here are going to help you extend into further Link plays. And rounding off the monster lineup, we're going to play 3 Effect Veiler. The reason I play Effect Veiler is because it negates monster effects, and it's not once per turn, which is the biggest clause there. Not once per turn. I also play 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Now, there was a comment on my Cyber Dragon video that said, hey, Ash Blossom is not once per turn, and if you draw 2, 1 will be dead in your hand. I agree to that comment. He also said you should play one of each different hand trap. I also like that idea. I would have done that. It would be one Ash Blossom, one Droll and Lockbird, and one Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. However, I was lacking the cards. Keep that in mind for your deck build if you're going to follow this one. Getting into the spell cards of the deck. Your best searcher, Salamangreat Circle. Glad it's back at 3. I stopped playing Salamangreats when this was first limited to 1. Now that it's back at 3, it is a great play. It searches any Salamangreat from your deck to your hand. You can also target one Salamangreat Link monster that was link summoned using a monster with its same name. That link monster is unaffected, which means not only is it a search card, but it is also quick play spell card protection. And if you need a little more search power from the deck because you're using your Salamangreat Circle for defense, Signet Mining is the way to go. You can discard a card, which is good for this deck. And with your Signet Mining, you can add one level 4 lower Cyberse monster from your deck to your hand, which is most of them, excluding maybe your Tiger. Next up, a great card in Salamangreat, the Will of the Salamangreat. This card is like a 1-card soul exchange. If that doesn't make sense, it didn't make sense coming out of my mouth either, but essentially, here's what it does. You special summon one Salamangreat from either your hand or your graveyard. Then, or in addition, if you'd like, you can target one Salamangreat monster on your field that is a link monster summoned by using a material with its same name and special summon monsters from your hand or graveyard in defense position up to that monster's link rating, which means if you have a link 4 Pyro Phoenix, you can make another one for free using Will of the Salamangreat by sending it face up from the field to the graveyard. Next up, your field spell, Salamangreat Sanctuary. You only have one because this is searched off your Bailings, which is your link 1, can be made almost at any point in the duel. This card allows you to link summon a Salamangreat monster by using one with its same name, meaning you don't have to get 4 cards for another Pyro Phoenix or 2 cards for another Sunlight Wolf. You can just use one Sunlight Wolf or one Pyro Phoenix for a new Sunlight Wolf or Pyro Phoenix, or any other of your link cards. This card also allows you to pay 1,000 life points and then target one link monster that you control, make its attack 0, and you gain life points equal to its attack. Now, that doesn't always come up. However, there is a great combo in this deck, specifically with the card I play in the extra deck, that goes great with that secondary effect for Salamangreat Sanctuary, and I will tell you once we get to that segment. Last up for the spell cards is Fusion of Fire. Fusion of Fire is simply made, they're simply here to make your Salamangreat Violet Chimera. That card's really good. It's got a lot of attack power, and it is typically stronger than most of your link monsters. It takes an attack route in a control deck. So if you have Fusion of Fire and you feel like making your Violet Chimera to go for game, you can. For the trap cards, I play one Salamangreat Rage and one Salamangreat Roar. Salamangreat Rage has huge destruction capabilities, and Salamangreat Roar is a counter trap that negates. It negates really anything. I believe when a spell or trap card or effect, or monster effect, so this is an Omni Negate, right? They have their own built-in Omni Negate, and it can be searched through the effects of your other Salamangreat cards, which is why I play one of each. Negate, Destruction. Both very good. You spring these traps and your opponents don't have an answer, it will be devastating. And the last 3 cards for your main deck, another hand trap that is not once per turn, Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence will always be one of my favorite hand traps. It brandishes Cyber Dragon Infinity on the artwork, which is obviously a very attractive looking card. I am a Cyber Dragon player at heart. This card can be targeted or activated from your hand and negate a monster effect if you have nothing on your field. However, it can be also set as a trap, and in the column it's set, it will negate the monster chosen, wherever that is, and then in its column will negate a spell or trap on your opponent's field in that column. Infinite Impermanence is really good. You can almost get 2 cards for the price of 1 if you play it right. Alright, so we made it through the main deck. Now we're on to the 15-card extra deck, and your first card is the start of your turn. 1 summon into Baylings. You play 3 Salamangreat Baylings. This card can banish itself from the graveyard to protect your other Salamangreat monsters. Also, when it is summoned, it searches Salamangreat Sanctuary, your field spell. Next up is your Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf is your rank 2 in the deck, and when it is summoned, or rather, if a monster is summoned to a zone it points to, which is up and down, you can add 1 fire monster from your graveyard to your hand, but for the rest of the turn, you can't normal summon. So you got to choose which one is more important. However, Sunlight Wolf is great. It also gets an effect if summoned by using another Sunlight Wolf. That being an effect in terms of recurrence, adding 1 Salamangreat spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand. Next up, your Link 3 that comes in handy in a tight spot. Salamangreat Heat Leo. When Heat Leo is summoned, you can target 1 spell or trap on your opponent's field and shuffle it in the deck. Then, if Heat Leo is summoned using Heat Leo, what will happen is he can target 1 monster on the field and make its attack become the attack of a card in your graveyard. Usually, I will use that effect to make it Bayling's attack, which is only a measly 500. This makes an opponent's monster easier to attack over, and can sometimes turn the game around entirely. This next card is my personal favorite. 2 copies of Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix. Pyro Phoenix has an interesting combo within itself. You can activate 1 of its 2 effects per turn. So, or 1 of each. So you can target 1 Link monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your opponent's field, triggering then the second effect that if your opponent if a Link monster is special summoned to your opponent's field during the damage step, or except during the damage step, you can target 1 monster and inflict damage to your opponent equal to his original attack, which means if your opponent plays a Link-oriented deck, you summon 1 of their Link monsters from the graveyard, put it on their field, and then deal damage to them as a punishment. Also, if Pyro Phoenix is summoned using Pyro Phoenix, he destroys all cards in your opponent's field. Simple as that, simple sugar. Board wipe, just for summoning him using himself, which is a great out, especially if you have your Sanctuary on the field. Next up, Salamangreat Raging Phoenix. This is a great card. I would play 2 copies, but I only play 1 because at the time of purchasing this card, it was $45. Okay, this card has its effects kick off while it's in the graveyard. If a monster or a fire monster on your field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard by battle or card effect, Raging Phoenix will special summon and gain attack equal to that monster's original attack. Now, if Raging Phoenix is summoned using himself, he will search a Salamangreat card from your deck to your hand. Any Salamangreat card, most of your cards are Salamangreat cards, so summoning himself on top of himself using your Sanctuary would get you a free combo extender. However, his main effects are also amazing, and his graveyard effect is going to come up more than his addition card would. However, if I were to play a second copy, I would replace this next card, Decode Talker Heat Soul. Heat Soul is a great staple in this deck, and I have no plans to remove him for the foreseeable future. He has a draw effect, and you can special summon 1 Link 3 or lower Cyberse monster from your extra deck when he's destroyed. So he is essentially a floater, and you can float into your Heat Leo or anything lower in terms of Link rating. And as a quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life points, draw a card. He also gains 500 attack for each card he points to. He's got 3 zones, so he can gain an additional 1,500 at best. It's a really good card. Slight moment of appreciation because that card looks really good. It's my favorite card. I gotta look at it for a second. Wow. You remember that card I was telling you about? Salamangreat Sanctuary? Its secondary effect is great for your Firewall, Dragon, Dark Fluid, Neo Tempest, Terahertz. This card will, quick effect, send 1 monster from the graveyard, or from the deck to the graveyard, as a quick effect, by the way, any Cyberse monster, and it will gain 2,500 attack. This lasts until your next turn. So this card can get upwards of 5,000 to 8,000 by the time it comes back around to your turn, and you get a beefy attack. And if you're not getting that attack before the effect wears off, use your Sanctuary, pay 1,000, gain however many this card has. It's not original attack for Salamangreat Sanctuary, so the higher this card's attack, the more life points you get, and it can come up. I play this in Math Mechs, and I send multiplication and absolutely double its attack to ungodly standards. You can't do that in this deck, unfortunately, but this card is really good for the gaining of life points or attacking over large monsters. Your last two monsters are Salamangreat Mirage Stalio and Salamangreat Violet Chimera. Mirage Stalio is really good because he takes 2 level 3s, which we obviously have. When he's XZ summoned, or not when he's XZ summoned, when he's on the field, you can choose to detach one material and special summon a monster, typically in defense position. One Salamangreat monster from your deck in defense position. And what that will do is give you more recurrence for more link plays. You can then summon Mirage Stalio, detach, special summon, and then link off into a link to Sunlight Wolf, or if you have more on the field, into a higher rating monster. If he is used as the material to link summon a Salamangreat monster, you get to target one monster on your opponent's field, send it back to the hand. And for Salamangreat Violet Chimera, this card gains attack equal to half the combined original attack of the monsters used to summon it until the end of that turn. Once per battle during damage calculation, if this monster battles a monster whose current attack is different from its original, you can double this card's attack. That won't come up too much, but when it does, oh man, does it. Now here's how you make that come up. You use your Salamangreat Helio, target your opponent's monster, set its attack to anything besides its own attack. Then you battle it with Chimera. Chimera will double its attack. It's already at 2,800, plus the combined total of the original attack of the monsters halved. That is a lot of damage. That's probably going to be upwards of 4,000, and then you're going to double that. This makes Violet Chimera the big hitter for the deck, and if you have your Fusion of Fire, you can do a lot of damage. With that being said, guys, this was the Salamangreat deck profile. I had a lot of fun making this one. I've been playtesting on Master Duel for a little bit. I used to play this back in the older days. I enjoy this deck a lot. It is a really easy introduction to Control, and it has a lot of opportunities to win despite newer players playing it. I think this is a great deck to try out, especially if you're a beginner, and it really gets you accustomed to link summoning. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments, tips, or tricks, let everybody know in the comments. All right, I am not a seasoned veteran with Salamangreats. I like to learn new things. People in the comments are going to want to know better combos, tutorials. So let us know. Be on the lookout for the next video. It should be in the upcoming weeks. The Blue Eyes structure deck is dropping on the 7th. It's the first right now. So be on the lookout for that. I will be covering a budget $30 profile on that. It should be a lot of fun. Until then, this has been Duels of Awesome. I bid you guys farewell. Peace, peace. Chicken grease. Twisms.